Now we're going to have Sylvia Ann Soares.
Yes.
Sylvia Ann Soares is as people have been talking about her, is a great actress that's in our community, and we love her very much. Okay.
Say more then. I'm so sorry. I was supposed to email to Dannie a little bit about me, and I am SAG-AFTRA, the Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, Actors Equity Association, one of the first members of Trinity Repertory Company. So I've been around national tours, regional theater, some television, and that sort of thing. And now just... So, well, I actually, my first lived in Providence when I was about 2, and I lived on Bay Street. It's not there anymore because you know that the city redeveloped and knocked down all the houses to make University Heights. I'm going to give you a little bit of history lesson because I always love to teach people, and I'm sure you'll love to hear what went on. Okay, so, hey, don't let history lie dead. Don't let lost things someone said. Don't get lost. Don't be lost. Things people did. Because fame and fortune are not the chief ideals in life. It's how you come through all that stress and strife. It's how you treat others and what you give to life. And Lippitt Hill residents were rich in all that. And will be honored when history becomes blazing fact. No need for anger that we were brushed aside. No need for war, just a little friendly fire of survival. Recall, discover what went down in your family, your neighborhood. Write it down. Record it, sing it, act it. Dance it, paint it, sculpt it, muralize. Yeah, and I'll tell you why I said that is memorialize. A little friendly, fiery history holla, history holla. So you're going to tell them all about us and keep those memories alive as we are today because of them. All right, now I'm going to give you a little bit of history. That was written for Hannah, the show we did a long time ago about this. So, history holla. History holla. All right, this neighborhood is my focus from Olney Street to Doyle Avenue, a little bit further on beyond, up this way. That's enough. And from North Main to Camp Street, maybe a little bit above that. And it was a neighborhood of descendants of African slaves in Rhode Island. And also there were Cape Verdeans, Native Americans who were mainly Narragansett tribe. There was Jewish immigrants and Polish immigrants and Irish, some migrants from the down south after World War I came up. And everybody brought something beautiful of their culture to this neighborhood. And it was not a crime-ridden neighborhood. It was not, okay? Everybody knew everybody else. Everybody looked out for everybody else. And you couldn't do anything without your mother knowing before you got home. So we were all like on good behavior, but felt very safe and comfortable and friendly here. These were hard working, poor folk. We all were. You know, I lived down on Lippitt Street. It's not there anymore. Where was my house? My house down on Lippitt Street was, if you're going, all right, Lippitt Street, here's where it went. It went from the entrance of University Heights Plaza, which is off North Main Street. It came right up and went straight through what is now the front door of Martin Luther King School. That was Lippitt Street. And my house was down there. Now it would be up in the air now. All right. So, you know, there was, in terms of neighbors and people being friendly to each other, there was a Jewish lady who lived next door. And my mother, she didn't get home until a little bit later. And the woman's son would always come, tall guy, and he would play games and put me on his shoulders and all kinds of. Sometimes I had to pee. So I would go and ask her if I could, can I come pee? Can I? And she'd say, oh, come on, come on, come on. And every time I went in there, and as I was leaving, she would give me a cookie. Now, at 5 years old, I knew she was very poor. I knew they were very poor. And yet she had a cookie for me every time, you know. So then we know that in the 60s, the city redevelopment, it tore all that whole neighborhood down to put up University Heights. All right. So anyway, let's talk about some things that when you walk down Camp Street, young lady, what do you see on Camp Street? Are there a lot of things down there? A lot. Well, let me tell you about what was there before, because there were a lot more things down there. There were businesses, thriving Jewish, Irish, Black-owned businesses. And I told you where Lippitt Street was. Now, on the corner where the front door of Martin Luther King School, that was a Jewish drugstore. Harry's Drugstore. Then there were all these black businesses too. Carrie's Barbershop. Naomi Brown's father, Mr. Pearl Jacks, had 4 or 5 barbershops in the neighborhood. 2 on Camp Street, 1 on North Main, and 1 on Olney Street. And Mr. Jacks and his wife were the last residents and owners of the Mount Hope Learning Center building, which you can see when you get up. It's that green building right there. You got to go up there and check that out too. Let's see, down on Camp Street, there were 2 little ladies, 2 little white ladies, sisters, that had a candy store, and the Beckett sisters, and when you went in there, if you were nice, every once in a while, you got some free candy, the Beckett sisters. All right, there was Black Billy Bones, the cobbler, there was a black beauty parlor, black dentist, Dr. Theodore Fleming, and Mrs. Benny Fleming, his wife, is still living in Mount Hope. She was a Nathan Bishop teacher. And there was Dr. Gross, who was on Olney Street in that area. Black piano teacher. Black carpenter shop, Mr. Cromwell. Black funeral parlor. Black storefront, Holiness Church. You know, we were supposed to be going to Holy Name Church for Mass, but they sound a lot better because the music is more exciting. And they were there in the evenings sometimes too. Benny Woods had a black restaurant. Ruthie Correa down on Howell Street. Howell Street's not there anymore. Had a store. Then she moved to Pratt Street, and at Olney, across from where the church used to be, from the Baptist church. And she gave scholarships. She had dinners and raised scholarships for kids of color who were going on to college. There were black military officers, eventually black mailmen. When I remember Mr. Tall, Mr. McCrae. Anybody here remember Mr. McCrae? Yeah. And then the first black policeman, Manny Rodriguez, and that's Portuguese Rodriguez. He lived on Halsey Street. That was on the other side of Olney Street. Oh, let's see what else. Oh, man. Oh, Benefit Street School was down there.
Mr. Lima.
I can't hear you. And
Mr. Lima on Olney Street.
Mr. Lima.
Thank you.
Mr. George Lima, right? On Olney Street, too. Thank you. Thank you. I'll put that in there, too. Okay, we had a big park. Oh my God, we had a big park. It's not there anymore because that area is not there, called Bates Street Park. And there was a huge cement swimming pool under the trees. It was wonderful, and there was a lot of dirt there. And then there was this rickety old merry-go-round, wooden merry-go-round. We would go round and round, and there, around the edge of it was a gouged out where we would put our feet out to stop it when we wanted to get off. Or you just leapt off the thing. Olney Street Baptist Church, which is up here. No, that was down the street. That was down the street across from Pratt Street. And it was a beautiful old white church building, which if it was somebody else's church, they would have restored it and kept it. But it was, well. So now let's see. Oh, let's go down to North Main Street. So all along North Main Street, okay, in front of what is now University Plaza, there were all kinds of things. Down near Olney Street, there was Ruth Bailey, Sister Ruth Bailey's beauty shop. Then there was an Orthodox Polish church, Jewish bakery, Corb's, delis. There was a Jewish furniture store that sold radios. And as a 5-year-old girl, I saw my first television. And I remember that thing was like little picture and all gray and grainy. And I remember even at that time, I said, this got to get better than that, actually. And then somebody said, oh, my father has a color TV. I was like, really? So we went over their house, and it was the same TV, except it had a little rainbow across the picture. And I said, it's really got to get better than this, you know. And look at what you got today, boy. You know, so, while we're down there, if you're on North Main Street where Santander Bank is, across the street, they call it, there's now the Providence Center is in there. This brick building, 2-story brick building, well, there was a 3rd floor. It's a factory. And I remember standing across the street looking and listening. And it was loud. Machinery. But I just wondered, how do people work there? How can the people work there? And they did, because they had to. And then one day we were down there and watching the top floor burn down. Then, where is Doyle Avenue School? Everybody went to Doyle Avenue School. It was right there on Doyle Avenue. If you walk down Doyle Avenue now, on the left-hand side, there's a brick building. And that is the senior apartments. And that's where Doyle Avenue School was. And let me see. The breeze and I. Okay, well, I'm going to put this away and get to the next. Further up North Main Street from Doyle Avenue, between, it was mentioned before, Carl's Diggins, near Seekonk Supply. Carl's Diggins. He had the only rhythm and blues records in the state of Rhode Island. Many people went in there and used that. And then the Celebrity Club. I see somebody, is that Blake? All right. Paul Filippi started the Celebrity Club, and Blake's going to come up and talk. His son is going to come up and talk to you after. And so it was, the Celebrity Club was where, we would say, where the Charles Gate Medical Center is standing right now. Across the street, there was a restaurant called Ziggy's, and everybody's stars' pictures were in there. Celebrity Club had world-renowned artists of all kinds. And I'm not going to go through naming them all, but you can look online and find out, because they were the big, famous jazz folks of that time. And they also, there was a story about Paul Filippi, is that these people heard about the club, and they came and they looked, and the husband went inside. It was a white family, him and his wife. He went inside and he said to Paul, my wife's in the car, and we have a couple of friends. Is it okay if we come in here? And here's a white man asking if he can come into a black club. And Paul said, no. Yes, of course. Everybody's welcome here. It was the first integrated nightclub in Rhode Island. And Paul was an overgenerous man and open-hearted to everyone. So they had a Sunday Coke corner. Not that kind of Coke. Coca-Cola. And they would section off a little section for the kids, and the kids could come on Sunday afternoon and learn from and be entertained by all these wonderful musicians. Now, 2 of our neighborhood kids, and some more, that played at the Celebrity Club, and their photos are on that wall. Randy Ash and Billy Osborne. Randy lived 2 houses that way from the corner of Camp and Doyle Avenue. And he continued to go on to work as a musician, still working as a musician. And somebody mentioned already, he had a group, Danny mentioned, Little Randy and the Stompers. And that was Randy Herman Pittman, who lived down on Cypress Street. I lived down on Cypress Street, I forgot to tell you. And who else was in that? Billy Osborne, Arthur Hazard played the saxophone. Randy, I thought he was going to be here. He can't be here. Okay. So I got to tell you about when Billy Osborne was a little boy. He was about 5 or 6, and he was showing talent. That whole Osborne family, fabulously talented. And his father took him down to the Elks Auditorium on Washington Street. It's not there anymore because it's now Regency Plaza. So, and put him up on a box because at that time the microphones didn't go up and down. So he stood this little 5-year-old kid on the box. He started to sing, And everybody was so wowed by it, they started throwing money at the stage. And right in the middle of the song, Billy saw all this money, and he crawled down off that box to go and get his money. You know, and on the mural, there's also a picture of LTD, of which Billy was the band leader, and he did vocals with his little brother, Jeffrey, and they toured all around. They did American Bandstand, Soul Train, and all kind of other places. And eventually, we know, Jeffrey went on to be a major star, and part of Olney Street is named Jeffrey Osborne Way. Billy is an established vocalist, percussionist, keyboard, organist, producer, and he wrote the number one hit, Check It Out, for other of our family who lived in environs and also in Massachusetts, Tavares, right. And eventually, Billy worked as writer, arranger, producer, right-hand man in the studio with the genius Ray Charles until Ray Charles's passing. Billy wrote 12 of the songs on Ray Charles's last album, Thanks for Bringing Love Around Again. And he actually wrote 100 more songs, and many of them did not get recorded. And there might have been, who knows. He, in April it was inducted, Billy Osborne was inducted into the Rhode Island Music Hall of Fame. That's down at the Hope Artiste Village. Some of you have been there. You can go in there and walk down. There's this hallway with all these musicians on either side of the hall, their stuff. He wanted to be here with us. He lives in LA, working on projects, and he wants you to know that he was thrilled and honored to be part of this. He's very proud of all of you for putting this together, and he'll talk to you later, I guess, okay? But the talented, it's not just what we see now, because the talented Osbornes started way back, I guess, but as far back as we know, is somebody who could have been my father, age, was Clarence Legs Osborne. He had long legs, and he was a popular trumpeter, and he did play the Celebrity Club. And yeah, I did say that Billy and Randall and Joey Osborne, you know, played in the Celebrity Club too when they were kids, and they had, you know, they had to wait in the kitchen. They couldn't let them come in the room. It was before when it was time to come on. But Clarence, he worked on a Canal Street. We would go down a Canal Street and we see Roger Williams National Memorial. Isn't that pretty? Well, even when I was little, and I'm 75, there were all tenement buildings all falling down. Opposite where there's fancy apartment building just beyond over the river, it was all warehouses. And that's where all the meats and all kinds of things and vegetables and everything came in. And his father was a meat packer and other jobs. And at night, then he would go out and play the clubs. And his band also played block parties. Okay, in this neighborhood, the city would present them, put up a stage. If you go beyond, on the other side of Martin Luther King School and go up, Lippitt Street is still up there. And then it takes a left to be Dwight Street. But right up there at the top, they would put up a bandstand. And it would be decorated with crepe paper, all kinds of colorful crepe paper and all that. Legs Osborne and his band would play. And all up on the sidewalks, there were card tables, all decorated with crepe paper. And people were selling food. And do I have to name all of it? Jag, linguiça from the Cape Verdeans, manchupa, cachupa. And there was fried chicken and ham hocks and greens and baked ham and potato salad, lemonade, peach cobbler, apple, blueberry, and sweet potato pies. And, you know, many of the musicians of the area played there. Jimmy Berry, Frank Sleepy Johnson, Freddie Starks, Jimmy Stark. There was Lady Sylvia Crum, Joe Watts, Otis Gamble, also, you know, Penny Gamble, the fabulous artist. Look her up on Facebook and be wowed. Her father was a trumpeter. George Azevedo, Joe Silva, Bruce Whitney. There were so many more musical people from this area. And also, the oldest Osborne son was the oldest. Clay was oldest son. And he became very famous in Rhode Island and in the environs with this band as a very silky voice. So anyway, that was party time, wonderful block parties. And at one of those block parties, and we have a guest with us today, 81 years young, Meredith DeBrito, and she's right here. You want to stand up, Meredith? Turn around, let everybody see your face. Stand up a minute, please, and just turn that way. And okay, great, because we wanted to get you on camera. So, and she can tell you that in 1950, at 14 years old, she wowed the crowd with Candy Store Blues. And she would sing the song and she'd throw candy out to the crowd and they would all cheer. And then later she became the chairperson of the Block Party Entertainment Committee, and she produced a beautiful a Stairway to the Stars, and that included young and older entertainers. And the eldest of that entertainer for that one time was Everett Weedon. Everett, does that name sound familiar to us in this neighborhood? Well, Everett Dance Company, he was native Narragansett. And he, he could be Parawampanoag, but I don't want to leave anything out. And he was a tap dancer, a incredible tap dancer. Everett Dance Company was named after him. Everett Stage Company was named after him. And, well, it was jumping. This neighborhood was so full of life and talent, and I couldn't even cover all of it today. And I'm going to end and say that it still is. And you check out the Mount Hope Learning Center. There's a lot of talent there. If you have children, young women that want to join the Young Women's Group, they do an incredible after hours. No, they don't. No, they don't do anything after hours. They do an after-school program at Martin Luther King, and there's Billy Taylor House with a lot of talent there, and Vincent Brown, and so history holla. Remember it, write it all down, and just keep it going. We're going to do more and more of this, and want to hear from all of you. Thank you.